It's Aleph.
Yeah. So we just did the
Um,
first shach, I think, right?
yeah, so the Kitzer, we said in the Mechaber, right? We said that somebody brings his friend to he's making a claim against his friend in Beis Din, and they say clarify your words. Why is he owe you? You loaned him. You have a collateral he didn't return to you. He damaged you monetarily in some way. That why? Because maybe it's he doesn't know the halacha. Maybe he thinks that even though the truth is we do it for everybody, even if it's a Talmud Chacham. But maybe he doesn't know and he thinks the guy's chayiv. And just by clarifying his claim, we could already dismiss the whole thing. And he's not, what do you call it? He doesn't know you anything in the first place. It's the
Right.
same thing also. He says, right, I don't owe you anything, right? Or I don't have, there's no, your money is not in my hands. So same thing. We clarify, the Beis Din clarifies his words. Why? Because same thing, maybe he mistakenly, for some reason, thinks he does know him. Um, and for
Oh, you
example,
were talking about that money. Oh, yeah, that I do owe you. Yeah, yeah. I didn't realize
right.
you were talking about
It
that.
turns out, yeah, or he gave him a gift or something. He says, "Wait a second, I gave you a gift." They tell him, "Hey, but buddy, like giving him a gift doesn't pay back the loan. The loan's a loan, a gift's a gift." Even though
Right,
the truth is, giving somebody a gift when you're taking a loan out, that's a whole problem of ribis of interest. That's a whole.
right,
But whatever.
right, right,
Let's just say it was in a way that was
right.
mutter because there's certain ways that it's mutter to give a gift.
Bottom line, communication is key. Tell all the married couples.
Yeah, exactly.
Communication.
Um, no, no. If it's a married couple, we just tell the husband, listen, you're wrong. That's it. You don't even have to clarify. What are you talking about? Um, so same thing. Maybe he thinks that he's not, but really, we can clarify just by his answer that no, you owe him, pay him. Um, and we do this even if it's a somebody who's a Talmud Chacham. We don't, which makes sense because what you can start drawing the line. Wait a second, first we have to figure out if you're Talmud Chacham because the truth is,
I think there's
what do
also
you have to lose?
right, right. Well, you have to lose, but also
You
I
have
think
nothing to
there's
lose
something
by
also
clarifying why you owe or don't know.
in other areas you see this in halacha when it comes to something when you're negay b'davar. The
Right.
chayshim mishpat, the other
Also,
chayshim mishpat comes up that we're not negay. Some there are blind spots. And
right.
sometimes they're just blind spots. So it's important to clarify what are we talking about? What is this for? What is it for? Okay, regardless of who you
Right.
are, you could be the Rav, you could be the Av Bezdin. But if you're negay, we got to make sure that we're clear on what we're talking about.
Right. Then if he does not want either person, if he does not want to clarify, right, that doesn't automatically win the other guy the case.
Hmm.
But rather the Beis Din determines if they smell a rotten fish here, if they smell that there's cheating going on and he's trying to be misleading and this kind of thing, then it could lose in the case. But if the Dayanim sense that it's not that, it's just whatever. He doesn't have the whole cheshbon in front of him, or he doesn't remember exactly right now. He needs to gather his thoughts of what happened or whatever, or whatever the case be. Or maybe he's nervous of giving up evidence not in front of Beis Din that then the guy will have time to come up with with a thing against his evidence, whatever it is. But if they sense that he's not being misleading, then it does not necessarily just lose him the case. Because when we're asking to clarify the words, it's really just so we can for the same thing as everything here is really we're just trying to reach the truth. That's what we're trying to reach. We're trying to reach the truth of what the deal is. And yeah. But the only thing is, nowadays, as many people are in those days anyway, where many people were used to cheating, so you would first try to clarify to make sure there's no cheating going on.
Right.
Then we spoke about the first shach who didn't understand, being that there was the shach was the sma, maybe it was the sma. Let me see.
That's first with the
The
shach.
shach,
First
the
with the
shach.
shach. We didn't get to say it.
Yeah, the
So the first
shach.
shach was saying, first of all, he mentioned that it doesn't matter what's going on. Like the whole thing about, but what if I'm afraid that maybe I can manipulate the system because I know I'm in the
Right,
right. I know the guy owes me $100. But if I claim $100 and he's going to say he owes me nothing, that he's only going to end up paying me 50 maybe if he swears or whatever. So I'll claim 200. That way the Beis Din gives him the ruling of 100, and then I'll get what he actually owes me.
Right.
You can't doing that. And vice versa, the other way. If this guy's kind of claimed from you, he'll be like, well, no, I'll deny nothing, and then I'll go and privately give him the 100 that I owe him, because otherwise he'll claim 200. That's not right. You can't be lying.
Right.
Be honest. You have to be honest.
And the third situation was because he owes you the 100, and he'll admit to the 100. But the problem is you have another issue you don't think he's going to admit to, where there's no shvua involved. So you're going to cause a gilgul shvua. I mean, if I say 200, he'll admit to the 100 that he owes me.
Then we're going to talk about another claim that
and now I can roll in that he has to swear also on this other. Also, you can do it. And the fourth scenario he brought was he owes three of us 100, and it's true, we all know he really owes 100. Right. So we say, you know what, I will I'll be will the three of us, one of us, I'll claim he owes 300. You guys will say you're witnesses that he owes me 300, which he really owes us all, and then. We'll win the case, and then we'll split the money 3 ways how he really owes us. You can't do that either, right? There was also the case of the Eid Echad, that one witness, he saw it with his own eyes. He knows it's true that the guy owes him. He can't go and tell somebody else who didn't see it. Come, I'll tell you exactly what happened, and you come testify. You saw the same thing, so it'll be 2 witnesses. And because at the end of the day, really, we're doing a good thing. I saw this happen, and this guy's trying to steal from the other guy. And by coming as a second witness and lying, we're setting it right. Nope, you can't do that. You're not allowed to lie in these matters. And a Beis Din, and there's a story with the guy who he owed somebody money, and he passed away, and the inheritors. He came to the inheritors, and they said, "Listen, I'm sorry, but we don't know anything about it.
Right.
We don't know about it." And they never told us nothing about this. So now essentially we're kaifer bakel, because we don't know we don't know we owe you this. You're coming out of the blue and telling us. And they went to a Beis Din, and by the way, the Beis Din, and they told him that really they're 100% believe this guy. This guy is a guy who was known to be honest in business, and he was 100%, and he was good friends with this guy. In either case, but the rules are the rules. That's what and the Beis Din has to go by that. So they said, so like a wrongdoing is being done. I forget exactly what the story is. If somebody had a dream or something like this.
Oh, Eliyahu Navi. That's what I was thinking of the story. But Bechlal was the guy who travels Eliyahu Navi, and he keeps seeing these things as perceived injustices.
Right.
And Eliyahu, the whole thing with Eliyahu Navi says, "I'll let you travel with me, but you can't comment. No talking."
Right.
No comment on what we see.
No comment and no questioning. If you question,
no comment, no question. And after like 3 different episodes or whatever, he's like, oh, "This just seems crazy." It's fine. I'll explain, but you can't. You're not. This is over. This deal is over. And it was a whole thing where he explained. There are actually multiple stories, because it's Eliyahu Navi. You might actually be talking about even stronger though is I think of Baal Shem Tov's story.
Yeah,
but something like with Gilgulim. The Baal Shem Tov story is probably what you're talking about. The Baal Shem Tov with the Gilgulim, the guy, because he pays him, but clearly the guy was innocent.
Right.
But basically what it comes down to was that actually it was a previous Gilgul. Mr. B had actually stolen that money from Mr. A.
Right. So this was setting it right. And the
fact that now this happened,
in the larger picture of things, and therefore by following the Beis Din followed the ruling, because the Torah always sets everything right in the end. In other words, in the end, the Eibush is going to set right all the anyone who has what's not supposed to be theirs, and somebody else, it gets set right.
I think that's just part of this. That if we're talking about a man-made justice system, you're right. You could be afraid that there could be a loophole, and a justice system you could slip the cracks to someone who's innocent. Yeah, it's not right. And Taka, that does happen. And it's like, what can you do? There's no perfect system. No way. When you're talking about Torah, we're talking about the Eibishter over here. So you're right. Even if somehow he slips through the cracks of the rules of Torah, but the Eibishter will take care of it.
Right.
You don't have to worry. You trust the system, even if you get messed over. Like I've had that where I was like, I went to a rabbi rabbi that the guy I had a claim with, whatever, insisted upon. I didn't trust. I was like, this rabbi, it's not his area of halacha, which is a whole other thing. But whatever, I was like, this is what this guy is insisting upon. Whatever, I'm not going to cause a fight. Fine, I'll go with it. And this guy, the way he ruled, I was like, he's not even addressing things halachically to our case. He did things. This Rav basically went according to what made sense to him instead of what halacha actually says. And I ran it by several of them. Like, wait a second, what about this? What about? I'm like, he didn't even bring those nekudas up. And it ruled against me. And so it was like that thing where I'm like, you know what? There's still a bitter taste in my mouth, and I've learned a lot from it. At the same time, I'm not going to go appeal the ruling. I trust the Eibishter. Before we went to that rabbi, I said, Eibishter, whatever this rabbi says, I'm going to accept. And I'm still working on accepting it, clearly.
But listen, but for whatever reason, the Eibishter, either for whatever reason, for your own good, the Eibishter didn't need you to have that money.
Yeah.
Or alternatively, he's getting it. In other words, listen. At the end of the day, the Eibishter knows what we need, and he takes care of us, and he makes sure that we have what we need. And all these things are external to that. He's going to still make sure we have.
I have to trust. It's part of my mamun in the Eibishter. That this is okay. This is what the Eibishter wants from me.
This is how, yeah.
So if you trust Allah,
and not just this is what he wants from me, but ultimately he's going to take care of me. I'm going to be fine.
Right.
I'm going to have what I need. Yeah.
Right.
So we go to the Sma now. We go to the Sma. Explain your words. Why he owes you. Oh, and by the way, in the Shach, he was unsure why
why didn't the Mechaber and the Tur bring this up?
Didn't bring up these things, considering that in other Makairis, like in the Rambam and other places, it brings this up in this place.
Right, other Mefarshei halacha, not just random Mefarshei, but the Rambam part, but for some reason, the codifiers of modern halacha, the Tur and the Mechaber, they don't bring it up. And the Shach is perplexed as to why wouldn't they bring this up?
And he doesn't, and I don't believe he doesn't answer. He doesn't have any answer. Sometimes they're perplexed and they come up either with an answer or they come up not lavdav with an answer, but with a ulai efshar leimar. Perhaps the reason they did this was because in this case he just leaves it as he's perplexed in it. So now the Sma. So explain why you're chayiv l'churei kasha. So at first glance, this is tough to understand. Shela'il kasav b'shulchan aruch, because prior in Siman Ayin, right in chapter 70. Kasav b'shulchan aruch, right? She'aimlim la'leva hanitba, that we tell the borrower who a claim is now being brought against him, lahavi eidin, either bring witnesses, right, that you paid, or lisho beheses lifater, right? Because minatera, you only swear by meideh b'miktas if you admit it partially. Right. However, there is a lower strength rabbinical oath that you take in certain cases, right? Like when we say like ladam, right? It never happened, and he can be pater. And over there they say nothing about clarify your position. So why do you say here, clarify your words? And so there's a difference. Why? Actually, by the way, this is all what I just read was part of the Hesper. It wasn't part of the actual Sma. The Sma just starts with the answer. That was the question over here. They're helping us out by giving us the question. Just like Rashi will often comment on something, and we have to come and say, okay, what's, this is a thing I remember in Cheder, right? In Cheder, they would always want us to understand the Rashi, so they wouldn't tell us the Rashi. They would always ask us to try to get a brain going, like what's bothering Rashi.
Yeah, right? What's Rashi's
even
question?
Even though Rashi
over
doesn't say the question, he says only the answer. Right. And from but from the answer, you the truth you see in the Kulitayt also by the Alter Rebbe, a lot of times he'll answer something that within it, it's self-understood what the question
the question was. Right? Yeah. But there's a series of books. What's bothering Rashi?
Right.
Because yeah,
Yeah.
it's not much a question.
Right. And sometimes it's easy. You can understand it by yourself, and sometimes it's more. In other words, especially considering Rashi was written for a 5-year-old, they must have had
Right.
some. They must have had some 5-year-olds back then.
But how many Rashi sikhs are along those lines? And Rebbe says,
Right.
hold on a second. How could this be right? How could this be what Rashi's coming to answer? It
Right.
doesn't fit.
Right. So the Sma says, "Kan b'reish hilchos tayim." Here in the beginning of the halachis of claims, right, which deal with the laws of and requirements of the both the plaintiff of the claim and the defendant in the claim. Kasav Rabbeinu, so Rabbeinu, our Rebbe wrote, meaning the Mechaber, the author of Shulchan Aruch, he wrote, "Ha'im tzrichim levared chilosei ve'ikar tarnasi." He's talking about if you have to clarify the beginning and the main point of his claim. Well, the il simin ayin, however, before in simin ayin, where he doesn't mention this, mighty shekvar birut chilosei tarnasi. He's talking about a case where this was already clarified. Where he's talking about in the other simin, he's talking about the case itself. This is sort of a prequel to the case. This is before we're starting to ask everybody for evidence and counter evidence, etc. We ask them to clarify their claims. Over there, it's talking about it's in the middle of the court case already.
Right, right.
So
Here we're talking about we're just at the beginning. They've
right. We're
first
talking
shown
about
up to the
when
rub.
you're bringing a claim. Over there, it's talking about you're already in middle of a court case. This is
Right.
this is
Here we're
like
not
this is like before the court case. We haven't
initial
started the case
intake.
yet. But
Like,
we haven't started the case yet. We're not considering
right.
anything. We're just what's your clarify what it is you're accusing him of, and you'll clarify why you say it's not so. Now,
Right.
in other words, we can because we can absolve the whole thing without ever really having a court case.
Right.
In other words, you know how like the what do they call it? They call it finding if like finding just cause or something.
Yeah, reasonable cause or
Just
something.
cause or whatever. I've seen
Just
like
cause.
court
Yeah.
cases where you have where it gets thrown out right in the beginning before they even start the case. They start
Right.
by finding of just cause. Okay, now that we find that they had a cause, they had just cause to even arrest you or file this thing against you. Okay, now we can start discussing the actual case. But first of all, even if you're totally wrong, I've seen this where it's clear the guy is in the wrong,
Mm.
but they did not have just cause to arrest him when they arrested him. So it's sort of on those lines where, in other words, we're not even starting the case yet. We're clarifying before the case is even started. What's your claim? Do you even have a claim that we can argue here in court? And do you have a counterclaim that again that's even what to argue about? Okay, now if we see you have a claim and you have a counterclaim, okay, now let's sit and have a court case. You know. So over there, he's talking about the actual court case itself. So here we're talking before the court case, and that's why there he makes no mention of this. Clarify your words.
Let me, I will take
Um,
it off.
Kifi,
I
right?
discriminate
Ella,
you.
but she'tan anit ba'id. 1 second.
I know, I looked out the window.
Yeah. My Taina say Ella is tan hanit ba'id, meaning he already clarified his why his position. They said okay, so let's talk in Basin, and then now they're taking the case further, and
Look at
and
that
and and he's bringing and the person
wheel.
and the defendant is bringing additional proofs. Sheyesh edim shepare, like for example, that he has witnesses, meaning before he's not saying I necessarily had witnesses that I paid him. They're saying explain why you're saying you don't owe him, and he says I paid him. Okay, fine. Now we can go to court. You're saying I pay. He's saying you owe me money, and I'm saying I paid you. Right, as opposed to he says I owe you money, you owe me money, and he says, oh, but I took care of your grandmother 20 years ago. Okay, I'm sorry, that doesn't, right? That's why you think you don't owe him. No, sorry, you owe him money, right? This is saying the clarification was he says you owe me money, and he says I paid you. Fine. Now let's go to Basin. Now in the Basin, he brings witnesses that he paid him. So in Ayin over there, everything he's talking about is in the middle of the case itself, and therefore he doesn't.
I was making you lean to you.
Maybe that he thinks that he owes him, and really he doesn't owe him, right? Like he thinks he stole from him and all these kind of things. Right, so now he's jumping back to what we're talking about here. That here we're not talking about the end of the court case. We're talking about maybe his whole basically maybe his whole premise is wrong. Yeah, wait, no, sorry, I'm in the wrong thing here. What's it called? That he brings witnesses, right? And there it says, "Im chayv lahavi edim." That there it's talking about what if he brings witnesses and now they contradict him. Then what's the Vidin shebekan? However, here what we're talking about, Nilmad mimashin is about Gemara. We learn out from what it says in the Gemara. Sha'edim sheboin lahaid, that witnesses that come to testify in a beis din shepleni chayv lepleni, that one person owes another person. That the witnesses have to clarify their words. Right? He's not talking about the claimants. Over there, he's talking about the witnesses clarifying their words. How so your witnesses that he owes them, how do you know this? Did you see it? Did you hear it? Right? Etc. That maybe the witnesses made a mistake and think that he owes him. Why? From something they saw or that they know. Like, for example, let's say he admitted that he's chayav. But really, he doesn't owe him, according to halacha. And like the Tur and the Mechaber, the author of the Shulchan Aruch, right in chapter 32 and chapter 81. Umine, and from this, right, that we clarify from this that we see that we clarify the words of the Edom, even though they're other testifying is what they saw. Lam de Bakal v'chemer, so we learn from a Kal v'chemer, right? What's the word for a Kal v'chemer? Is a word for it. What's it called?
It's like a fortiori or something.
A fortiori, yeah, a fortiori. But it means that from the less powerful thing, we can learn out on the more powerful thing.
If by this less powerful thing,
how much
more
by
so?
Right. Shebaldin atzmai. So from the fact that we see that the witnesses who just saw something in there and they're just saying what they saw, we have to clarify their words. So from this, it's certainly that by the that's what it is. It's called the certainly.
Certainly,
yeah. So from this, certainly that the Baldin himself, that he's not just saying what he saw, but rather he's making a claim against somebody. Tzarich levared has to clarify his claim. Why? Because we have to worry. Shema Tayev v'Sever shechayav. Maybe he's making a mistake and he holds that the guy owes him, but really he doesn't. Ukegain shechasher sheganvay. Like for example, maybe he suspects that he stole from him, right? And if you suspect that somebody stole from you, he doesn't owe you money based on your suspicion of that. Lachain, therefore. Or for example, that the defendant told the plaintiff that he's going to give him a money, right? He's going to give him a certain amount of money, a money. The Sever HaTeveya and the claimant, the plaintiff holds erroneously, shemikeach havtachasei litin loy, that from the fact that he told him he's going to give him, and mikeach achshad sheish alav, or going back to the other case with the from the power of the suspicion that he has that he stole from him, harishus biyadi litvaya money. So he has the legal standing to claim a money from him in court. Veze einay al piadin, and this is not correct according to the halacha. If I tell you I'm going to give you $100, and then you go to court and say, oh, he said he's going to give me $100, right? But you don't tell them that. You say he owes me $100, and then they're going to clarify and say, wait a second, what do you mean he owes you $100? You say, oh, because he said he's going to give me 100. They say, no, 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 that's not a good claim. Or you come to the basement and say he owes me $100, and they say why? Because I suspected I think he stole $100 from me. Again, they can say, I'm sorry, that's not a valid claim. Your suspicion doesn't of him stealing from you doesn't is not a valid. It doesn't mean he owes you money. V'chein, and so too chayshinon shanit b'chayav lei be'emes. But at the same time, we have to also go the other way around. That we have to suspect maybe the other way is true. Maybe really the guy does owe him. But he gave him once in the past, 20 years ago, he gave him a gift of a money, right? So, and so he holds that, well, since I once gave you a gift of this amount, now that I borrowed from you, I don't owe you, which is incorrect. Or he returned the money to the wife or the children of the lender, which doesn't. This is not correct according to the halacha. Meaning, if you loan me $100 and I give your wife now, but obviously nowadays we do it based on trust, and furthermore, obviously nowadays, based on being that a lot of these halachas, it's also we go the dayanim go according to what makes sense. So if it's true that I gave it to your wife and I gave it to your wife, but la halacha according to the word of the din, I have to give it to you. I can't give it to your wife. Nowadays even usually you would but really it's a matter of trust. I know I'll give your wife the money; she'll give you the money. Lefikach, therefore, right, because of all of these possibilities, the Beis Din tells them to the plaintiff and the defendant, Tibaru dvareichem, clarify your words, lifnei hadayonim, before the Beis Din. And they'll let you know right off the bat if the law is with you, meaning they're not paskening yet, they're not giving a ruling yet, but they're going to tell you if you have a valid claim or if you have a valid counterclaim. Kain mevur barambam Perek Vav Tayin. So it explains in the Rambam, the 6th chapter of Tayin, the Magid Mishnah Sham and the Magid Mishnah in that place. Ulefize, and so according to this, what we all this that we just said, so comes out Kitzru Hatur VaMechaber Batokas Lashon Rambam. The Mechaber, the author, and the Tur, which makes sense because very very frequently, unless the Mechaber doesn't hold by the Tur somewhere, when he brings down the halacha, he very often uses the exact language of the Tur, unless he has like a reason to not to skip something or to change something, or he doesn't hold that way. So they shortened what the Rambam says. The Mashakasvu, in what they wrote, did he he borrowed from you, or he's holding your collateral, or he damaged your money. um, the Mali halva or Mali bikodin hiziku, because oh, if I recall right, what he shortens, the reason he shortens is because the Rambam also says, or do you suspect that he stole from you? Where here they don't say, did he suspect that he stole from you? Why did they not include this? Because it doesn't make a difference. Mali halva, Mali bikodem hizika. What's the difference if he loaned or he has a collateral by you or he damaged your money? Ella, but rather it's just rotza leimar. What it's meaning to say? Bar dvarecha. Clarify your words. Emil visa pekata hizika. Right, if he borrowed from you, or he has your collateral, or he damaged your money, or maybe it wasn't any of those things. Maybe you suspect him that he stole from you, or like the Rambam says, or something completely different. So he's saying that's why really the so this mess the Sma is saying basically that they're asking you to clarify what it is, and they're not so specific about it because it doesn't make a difference exactly what the things are. Clarify what it is, why you think. The ayin b'drisha sham hichachti, that there. This is the drisha is also by the Midas Sinai. It's a different one. It's a sefer by him also. Sham hichachti. There I proved the hatur svirole the muchach midivri Rambam, that the Torah there holds that it's proven from the very words of the Rambam. The loy mishum tos that it's not just because of a mistake, but also because of a suspicion. Because we're also trying to clarify, because maybe we can figure out immediately, not just that he thinks he has a proper claim, but maybe he's partially lying. And therefore we also have to clarify if it was a loan or if it was a collateral, meaning literally we have to clarify, right? That we suspect it's a false claim, and if we ask him to clarify his words, that might come out already. But anyway, so the Sma is saying don't pay attention so much to the particular wording that he's using here. Of was it a loan? Yes or no? So, meaning it's not yes or no questions. Was it a loan? Yes or no? Was it a this? Yes or no? Was that? It's just bichlal. He's just giving. They're just giving examples of the kind of thing that we're trying to clarify. But there's other things that could be clarified, such as if you thought he stole from you, such as maybe he's really lying altogether. Okay, now going to the shach on the same thing. All right, we tell him clarify your words. Edim. Right, so we ask him, and if he clarifies his words, and he says that he has witnesses, so then see he points us to Siman Ayin like before, right? He's saying if he says he has Edim, then we clarify the words of the Edim. And there's also the question of if we make him bring the Edim. But that's all in Siman Ayin. Right, which Siman Ayin is I think that's in Hilchos Edus, the laws of witnesses, which is why it's there, because it makes sense that the clarifications of the witnesses are going to be in the laws of witnesses, not in the laws of claimer and claimee. Kasam Darkim Mesha, the Darkim Mesha writes, Vizel Shiny, and this is his words. Kasam Mirenu, what is it? Harav Maharad Kayin. B'tshuvesav Bayis Beis Cheder Aleph. So I guess his chuvis, they're organized in houses and rooms. You know, like we have chapters and sub chapters. So he calls it house two, room one. Mi sheyesh leidin, somebody that has a lawsuit al chaveri on his friend, vanitba muhzak, and his friend is the one who the plaintiff. Sorry, the defendant has the chazaka. He has the what do you call the chazaka? Like it's the status quo is that it's his. Why? Because it's by him. So we know that if the money's by you, right? Whoever's holding the money, that's the status quo that it's his, and the other guy has to prove it. Ein Eimrim Lahitziyeh Ulaniche Biyad Shlish V'achar Kach Yodunu. We do not, the Beis Din does not take the money, right, and put it like Yad Shlish means a third party, meaning they don't put it in escrow, and then they'll make and then they'll decide the case. So, for example, PayPal doesn't go by the halachas here. What does PayPal do if there's a claim? They protect the customer. They don't protect the guy who the money's by. They hold the money until the thing's clarified. By a Beis Din, they do not do that. If I come and claim $100 from you, they don't. Okay, well we're gonna first of all we're gonna hold the $100, and then we're gonna have a court case, and then we'll see where the $100 goes to. But rather, the money stays by the guy who it's by. The chol milsad avidal legluyi. That all this, whatever happened, is going to come out. Loy mitarchin on Beis Din, so we don't bother Beis Din. Dilma yizka nitva, because it's possible that that defendant is gonna win the case. V'nimtze shemachzik kadin, and it turns out that he was holding the money according to the law. And what are you? So now you went and did this whole thing of taking the money out from him unnecessarily, and it was just so it's this whole extra bother for this whole extra loops that Beis Din has to do. V'ayin el simin ein beis midin tfisa neimashma kain ad kan l'shein dakimisha, and see before in the laws of somebody who takes money from somebody else, right? Like if let's say for example, let's say you owe me money and I go and grab the money. You have the $100 sitting on your porch, and I come take it. So anyway, he says over there, the documentation says that over there it does not, in the laws um Edus is not doesn't sound this way. V'lo yadati heyich le'mashma came simon ayin base, and says the Shach, he doesn't understand the documentation there. Why the documentation says it doesn't sound like this in chapter 72. Just the other way around, nira ikar. Right? Ke Merino, I think it's Merino Rav Davda Kain, something like that. But by the Maharad Kain, it sounds that over there, Taka, that's the halacha is like him. That you don't that Beis Din does not put in escrow. V'chein minog, and this is not just it sounds like it goes like him. We see today this is what we do actually. That we do not extract money before a ruling. Um, Next shach, oh hizik mamayincha, or he damaged your money. The so this is from the Rambam. Amr heyich nischayev lach, and we say, how does he owe you? Shahari evshar sheyidme. So why do we ask him? Because it's possible that he thinks shahu chayev, that the defendant owes him, that he's guilty. Okay, like for example, he suspects him that he stole from him. Right, same like the Sma was saying, or that the defendant told him, "I will give you a money," and similar, and he holds that the fact that he told him, "I'll give you a money," means he owes him money. Automatically, he owes him money, which is not so. The cost of asma. So now he's going to bring up the Sma that we just learned. Sivkot Nalef. The Haturva Mechaber Kitzu Batokis Lashon Rambam, B'Mashe Kosvu, that the Tur and the Mechaber, the author of Shulchan Aruch here, they shorten the words of the Rambam. Hilvisa lo yipakata biyodei hizik mameincha, that they only say, did he lend you, or did he, or is he holding your collateral, or did he damage your money? But they didn't add the part about what the Rambam said about, or do you suspect that he stole from you? And over there, like we just learned, the Sma holds the Mali Alvo, Mali Pikodin, Oishe Ziki. What's the difference if it was Pikodin, or if it was if it was a collateral, or if it was a loan, or if he damaged, or if he damaged you somehow monetarily? What's the difference? Ella, rather, Ratu Leimar, what they wanted to say is that they tell him Bar Dvorecha, clarify your words. Im Shel Vislev Kata Yizikra. Or perhaps it wasn't any of those things, it was something else. They're just bringing those as examples. But their wording there, it's not specifically that they're asking about those things. Those are examples of the types of things that it could be that why he might owe you. Ella, but you suspect that he stole from you. Ad kan the and that's until here's the words of this ma. Well, if is daiti, so this is great already. Right in the beginning, on the first sma, we kick off with a disagreement of the sma and the shach. Lefi anius daiti, loy kitzru klum. They did not. They weren't mekatzer at all. They weren't. They didn't shorten the Rambam's word at all. The kavonas Rambam leimar, because the intention of the Rambam, he means to say, shehal beistin cheshishim sheyidme, that the beistin they suspect that he might think shehu chayav, that he is owes him. Like for example, he suspects him that he stole from him, which wouldn't be suspecting that I stole from you is not. It doesn't mean you owe me money. And that's why you tell him clarify your words. Aval ein kavanase sha beistin yebruloi ella sha'ata cheshte sheganav. But it's not the kavanah, the Rambam's intent that the Basin says him clearly that do you suspect that he stole. But they'll ask him the other questions, and then when did you do you think that are you saying that he loaned he borrowed from you, or he has collateral, or his collaterals by you, or your collaterals by him? And when he says, I loaned him money, Sagi, that's good enough. Meaning, it's not good enough to rule the case, but it's good enough to say you have a good claim. But if he says that I'm claiming because I think that he stole, Yashiv Ames, then he will answer the truth. And I suspect him that he stole from me. And this is how it seems to me. So maybe it seems the other way around. What he's saying that it. Let me just have a look back at the Sma here. The Sma is the other way around. The Sma says that they ask him, did he clarify your words? Are you saying that they took a loan for you, or he has your collateral, or he damaged your money, or are you saying that that you suspect that he stole from you? And the Shach says no, it's not like he's saying that they ask him specifically that way. It just means they ask him, explain your words, explain why you think, and if that's what it is, he himself is going to come out and say it. You don't have to ask him that; he'll tell you.
So basically, the Smash says we should prompt him. We should give him the option. Is it this, or this? The Shach says no. Just leave it open, and he'll say what he's into, and well, yeah, we'll see clearly based on what he says.
Like for example, the Shach says like let's say you ask him, so what? He loaned you money, and he'll say yeah. Okay, that's it. Your questioning is done. I'm not going to now ask him if I are you chayshim of this, are you chayshim of that? No, he said what his thing is finished.
But it reminds me actually of something that it's very clear. I think that the modern day courts and stuff in America at least work more according to the Shach. You're not allowed to lead the witness. It's a problem when you're leading the witness, or you can't. If you force the guy to give the confession to have him just say yes, that can be argued. He should be saying what he did. Like if you're going to say, "Did you do this?" then maybe you pressured him. Maybe he didn't do any of it. Like if he says it, then like let him come up with the details.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Now, let me see what's next. We go back into the Sma. No, wait. I don't think we're finished with that shach. Sorry, as this shach continues. Gam mashakosov bisma. He has another thing issue with what the Sma said. Also, what the Sma said, shebeprisha hichiach the tur svirole the muchach midivri Rambam. Right, that if you remember, the Sma said that he said like that he brought in another of his own books in the Prisha that he proves there that the Tur holds that it's certain from the words of the Rambam that it's not just that they're checking him about making a mistake, but we suspected they were also trying to clarify if he's lying, he's bringing a false claim. I don't know of such a proof in the Tur. He says I don't know where he's getting that from the Tur. Okay, now we go back to the Sma. Tzarich levarer dvarov. We have to clarify his words. Shema. Believe now he's talking about the defendant, that we go and clarify his words, that maybe he's making a mistake right now. So before we went and we explained what kind of mistakes, according to the Sma, according to the Shach, what is it that we're trying to figure out from the plaintiff, right, who's making the claim. Now we're gonna discuss the clarification of the that we're asking the guy, the defendant, or the claim is being brought against. Because Safti b'nimuke Yosef, sorry, the Kosav b'nimuke Yosef, and the Nimuke Yosef writes, Perek Amecher base, Amecher Bais, and the Perek of deals with selling a house. Daf Kuftzad the Gimel Amud Aleph in the Gemara.
Is that Bava Kama? What masech is that?
It's I think it's Bava Basra. That it seems from the Gemara, according to the Nimuke Yosef, the loy daikinon b'dvarav shel adam sheyu kenegdei. we're not particular from the words of a person that they should be against him, meaning that they should be mechayiv him. In Imloi omron mamish, unless he doesn't say it specifically that meaning you have to first tell him anything you say before this what's it called can be used against you, that sort of thing. If you're just involving him in conversation, he's not being careful about how he's saying
Yep.
it.
Got to read him as right. Make sure.
You said like this. Yeah, you were stop having a conversation with him. You can't use that as a. So he's not thinking about the details or whatever.
Right. What do we use? What's the expression for when, like with kashrus, where we want the person to be saying
right.
on his own, where it's just conversational, not a testimony.
Right.
Right. Here, no, he has to know that he's on the record, that he's going to read him his rights first. Otherwise, it's
right, because by kashrus, we're just trying to figure out what happened. Here,
right.
Also,
legally, if you didn't read him his rights, the whole thing could be thrown out. The whole arrest is done wrong, and the whole thing could be.
Right.
And today, in the secular courts, that's not how it goes.
Yeah. Well, the Olam Amrinon, the Derech Shtusa Diber, and we say that he just talking. Derech Shtus means in a way of folly, but it means just stam. He's having it's a light talk, so he's not like thinking about the details and making sure to be accurate and. Or even he's joking or something like like the famous like the case we have what an Aedis, right? Where
I think we say in the common parlance we say Bolshevik. He's just Bolshevik.
No, right. We even have it by Hilchos Eidos that if witnesses come and say that he says he owed him money, we don't take the testimony unless he said, "You be my witnesses that he owes me money, that I owe him money." Because it could be that he was just coming and saying, and he just wants to get him off his back. Like, I'm coming saying,
right.
Yoda, you owe me, what's it called? You owe me $1,000. You're like, yeah, I owe you $1,000. And then the witnesses will say, wait. The witnesses say, wait, I saw he said, yeah, I owe you $1,000. Right? It's like a famous the joke of Rosenblum Senior used to tell. Right? He said a guy comes to a barber shop. He sees a sign on the front and it says, "My name is Fink. What do you think? I give haircuts for nothing." He goes in, wonderful. Give me a haircut. He gives a haircut. He goes, "Okay, it's $20." You know what I mean? Your sign says, "My name is Fink. What do you think? I give haircuts for nothing." He says, "No, that's not what it says. It says, my name is Fink. What do you think? I give haircuts for nothing."
Haircuts for nothing, right? It's like the same joke, but it's a different setup. As the pond that says no swimming allowed, and the cop is about to write a ticket, and the guy says, "What are you talking about? The sign says no swimming allowed."
Right. So the same thing is he said, yeah, I owe you $100. The witness will say he said, yeah, I owe you $100. Like, no, that's not you're missing the context of it. It's not the. Okay, so fine. So now we go into the Shach. He has to we have to clarify his words. Even based on Laniton, that's the Niton, that's the Tayin is the claimer. Niton is the guy who's getting claimed against. Right? It's also called the Nitba. Hashiv al Tanose. Answer his claim. Uperish Hatshuva and explain the answer. Right? Why you hold that you don't owe him anything. Kamesha Piraj Tanase, right? Just like the guy making the claim, he explained his taina, he explained his claim against you, why he holds you owe him. The Amir im levisa mimano im loy levisa. So in the case that he said that he loaned you money, so answer us, did you taka take a loan from him, did you not? Or if his answer was, if the plaintiff said that his collateral is by you, he gave you collateral, so that's the chaylai hifkid. So tell us, did he give you collateral or not? Or if he's suspecting that you stole gazalta, you lay gazalta. So did you steal from him or you didn't steal from him? So charte, or for example, let's say you paid him. Let's say he's a worker and he's saying you didn't pay him. So did you pay him? You did not pay him. V'chein b'shara tainis, etc., etc., for whatever his taina was. Now that he's clarified his taina, right? I lent him money, or I worked for him, he didn't pay me, or he stole from me. So now they say the basin tells the defendant. So no, so now you answer the claim. Is this true, or what do you say? And the Rambam writes, "Umipnei ma ein mekabel mimenu tshuva." So why do we not accept his answer without clarifying his claim? Shama tayahu b'daite, because maybe he's making a mistake in his logic, meaning that he holds that he doesn't need to pay him, and really he does. I don't know. Let's say the guy worked for him for 10 hours, and he felt the guy's work wasn't the quality that he likes, or something like this, and so he feels he doesn't have to pay him, something like this. Yavil Lishava al Sheker. He's going to end up giving an oath on a lie. Shahari Evsher Shehelvu Kameshatan, because maybe the guy really lent him money, like he says. Vehichzir zeh esachayv livnai ishtay, and this one, the defendant returned the money to his son or his wife, right? Which, like we said before, it's not valid. You have to return it to him. Or he gave him a gift, which was the amount of the debt. Yidme. So because of this, it seems to him, right? He's bedaita in his mind sheniftu menachev, that he's now absolved from the debt, but really he's not. And now what's going to happen? He's going to come and say and swear, I don't owe him. but you're swearing falsely, and he's swearing falsely not because he meant to swear falsely, because he really thought that he doesn't know him anymore. But since he thinks that he's going to come, God forbid, to take an oath that I don't owe him. So this is why you're clarifying it first. Well, and therefore we tell him, the defendant, how are you telling me you don't owe nothing? Maybe really you're obligated legally to pay him, but you don't know it. You don't realize it. So therefore, rather let the dayanim, let the judges know clearly, explain them what happened. The heimi diucha, and they will let you know according to your explanation. Imatachayev or einatachayev, if you're obligated or not obligated. Ad kan Rambam, until here is the words of the Rambam. Hey, your twin was just on. The Kosav Habach, and my Zayd the Bach wrote through the Taz. He's actually only maternal because we're from the Taz, so he was the Taz's father-in-law. So even more importantly, we're related to the Taz's wife. That's Yichus. Because of a Bach, and the Bach wrote, Shenira midvarov, that it seems from his words, from the words of the Rambam, she'im hativei atavu b'stam, that if the claimant claimed him stam, meaning without clarifying the claim, he just said he owes me money. And let's say, like, for example, like we said before, right, that he doesn't automatically lose the case if he can't clarify his words. So let's say he just brought the claim stam. V'hu meishiv gam ken b'stam. And he also answers, stam, I don't know. He said, you owe me. I said, I don't know you. He said, I don't have my ledgers in front of me. I can't explain it right now. And he also said, I don't have my ledgers. I can't explain it right now. Ein Basin is skakin le'echad yesim l'chaveri. They're not required to clarify from the one more than from his friend. So meaning that he's saying that based on the words of the Rambam says that because the words of the Rambam are now that we've clarified from the plaintiff, so now you the defendant also clarify. So based on this, says the Bach, if the plaintiff did not clarify, the defendant doesn't have to clarify either. But we say to both of them at first. We tell them both, explain your words to both you to obligate the other guy and you to absolve yourself from what the guy's saying. And if neither of them explain clearly, so then it goes back to as if they both explained themselves. And you hold a court case. Even based on their not being able to explain it. But if the one guy, the plaintiff, stam makes a claim, mana yeshli plaini, this guy owes me a mana. V'hu meishiv, and the defendant answers, Yibarer v'yifarish b'eishet tzadini chayiv loy. Explain why I'm chayiv to you. Ki inani yideya mishum chayiv. I don't know about any I don't know about any obligation to him. So listen, maybe I owe him money. I don't know. I don't know about it. I don't know why he's saying that. Let him explain why, and then I'll answer him. Oz Eminem based on Taveya. Emerle me is upon him. Explain what explain. Tell him what they tell the plaintiff. So give him an answer. Why is he from what reason is he owes you something? Helvisa pekadta v'chulu. Let me see. We go back to the Sma.
What's your timing again today? Till 4:30, you said?
Yeah.
So it's 4:20. Okay, good.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Maybe finish. We could finish
I
Sifal
think we
probably.
can finish on. Yeah, we're almost at the base. So the Sma continues. Afilu hayachacham gadol emrim why ein hefsid, right? Even
Okay.
if he's a big Talmud Chacham, right? Because you might say, wait a second, by a simple person, he doesn't know the halacha, he's going to
Right.
make a mistake. But even by Talmud Chacham, we tell him, hey, what do you have to lose by? Listen, we're trying to find the truth here.
By the way, I think this directly contrasts, especially when, for most of us, somewhat beginner Torah learners, the Chacham angle comes in when it comes to Trubus and Maestros. You can trust that a Chacham knows what he's doing. So if you're
Right.
getting produce from a Chacham, you can trust that it's accurate. And I think to me, like it speaks to contrast that. Like you might have thought that you can trust a Chacham, he knows what he's talking about. No, no, no. Even though he's a Chacham, by Trubus and Maestros, you can trust him. But over here, when it comes to claims, financial claims, you can't.
Well,
Like it's
I
still
think I mean besides for like you said before of he's negab bedover
right.
he has an interest here, right? What do they call it?
Right.
Conflicting
Well, especially its
interest,
financial
right?
interest.
Right. He has what's it called? He's the negab bedover. I think additionally it's also about okay the chacham you can when it's just him between him and God. It's one thing. Here there's another person involved. So, because you're a chacham, we're not right. It says don't in the Torah. It says don't like raise a what do you call it? Don't in the judgment. Don't view differently. Someone smarter, poorer, richer. What's it called?
Right.
Right here, there's somebody else
Because
involved. It's a din.
there's a third party factor, so you can't
Right? Yeah.
control
So
what other people do. Like
we're not we can't give you any more leeway or anything just because you're a big Talmud Chacham.
right.
Um. there's also like if you remember,
Which is why again,
you
why I
remember
want to bring up
there's
again.
certain hatarim in like the Alter Rebbe said like there's a certain thing that he says la halacha it's this way, but don't. But don't go paskening like this for someone who's not a Talmud
Right.
Chacham because
Well, for Hilchos Shabbos and things,
come
right?
to stretch it into something it's not where it's not meant to be stretched because he doesn't understand the premise.
It's unless you know the sugya, you're not going to understand the distinction, the fine line,
Right.
that
Between when you
subtle
can you
point, that subtle
when you can do
difference.
this and when you can't. Yeah.
And it's too easy for someone to
Right.
make a
But
mistake.
again,
But
that's between the
also,
person
like,
and God.
right. But I do like I like the point you're bringing up is that between you know what you did and the Abish knows what you did. But if there's another party in play, you don't know what they did, and not necessarily something bad. But that's why I like the story, like I brought up yesterday. I think it was with the Rothschild or whatever, where it's like the guy returned the money, but the Rav was so busy learning in the sugya, he forgot to like it. Just he
Right.
totally forgot about it. The Rav
Many
took the
times he
money.
said this, we're talking about a
He
big
took
rov, a
the money.
big
Yeah, he took the money in his hand, put it in his safer. He totally forgot about it. Like,
yeah.
so it just yeah,
Yeah.
I like that point you brought up.
So yeah, and I
But
mean,
it's fine.
and also the fact that that it shouldn't come across like we're elevating him in favoring him in any way, shape, or form. In other words, you're coming before the Beis Din, you're equal.
Mm,
You're equal. There's no Talmud Chacham, not Talmud Chacham. What's it called? Someone
interesting.
comes in front of the Beis Din, you're equal.
Right, right. There's no playing favorites. With the
Yeah.
Trumas and Meisters, has nothing to do with based in. It's just you as an individual. If who are you getting it from, who are you buying it from,
Right.
etc. That's fine. But yeah, to the to Bate Dinim,
Right.
yeah, we're not
Which
just because
which
he's a Rav or rabbi,
right.
you don't get to circumvent the rules. Okay, but that's so that's this message, disclaimer.
Which interesting was one of the things that came up in a local case, right? Where
Right,
they
right.
where the where this where the claim was that there's favoring
He's the Rav.
rabbis
He's
over
the
laymen or something like this.
right, right.
I don't know if true or not true, whatever.
Right.
But
Whether they were or
the point
weren't,
is
it was that was
there is such a thing
right.
that you can't you can't favor the what's it called the oh well I'm not going to rule against the big rav. I'm sorry, you're coming in front of a base thing. You're all equal. Everybody's equal.
Right. And there's no show me some professional courtesy. I'm another Rav. I'm another judge. I'm another.
Right. I'm sorry. You're
Sorry, you're
all
a
equal in
litigant
front
like
of it. Yeah,
everyone
it's equal
else.
in front of us.
Okay, so
Okay.
Gimel. Great. So Claymar. So this
So
mean.
Kilemar, meaning to say, meaning what's the chiddush she's bringing here? Afal pi shachacham kazeh vadei ein badin. Okay, so certainly he's not making a mistake of thinking that the fact that I suspect him of stealing makes him obligated the money to me, right? Or the other cases. He's a Talmud Chacham. He knows these things. Mikol makim, still ein lecha hefsid. You're not losing anything by explaining your words. Leitziach hamichshad, to take yourself out of suspicion. Mikinegdecha, that from against you, meaning from the other baldin, from the other party. What's it called? At the end of the day, I'll give you a good example. Back in the days when I was in construction,
Hmm.
so another person from Anash here in Pittsburgh, and there was something that we had that in other words, based on our contract, it I felt one way, he felt the other way, and the truth is, based on the wording of it, you could say either way,
Both. Yeah,
right?
you were reading the contract differently. Right.
Yeah, and so we went to the Rav and we what's it called? Before we walked in, the people after the din is done, they give each other a big hug and a kiss. We gave each other a big hug and a kiss before we went in, and we said
It's good. I like it.
yeah, we were machlit. We're coming here to. It's not to win. To what's it called? We both want to know find out the truth of what's the right way for us to do this deal.
Right.
And if the right way is you keep the money, fine. If the right way is I keep the money, great.
Right.
We want to know the truth. Because we're not sure
Yeah.
what really
This
you
reminds
know
me of two things. Number one is like with couples. It's trying to remember we're both on the same team here. We're both trying to, and it doesn't matter if you're claiming they're based in. We're both on the same team. We're both from Yin trying to keep halacha. Isn't that
right.
what we're really about? Is it really about I win and you lose? No, I get the money, you don't get the money. It's all transient. It's all
By
the
the way, this
Avishter.
uh,
We're all
this this is
just
a, this is a very a problem often in like marriage counseling, especially with depending on the therapist, right?
right.
Where they almost make it worse by like positioning them as like, okay,
Now it's me versus you.
let's count your points and let's count your points.
Right?
See,
No,
my
that's
my
what like.
angle is different. My angle is after 15 minutes, they're both so angry at me that they're on the same side and I'm on the other side. And then they have shalom bayis, even though they don't talk to
Okay.
me ever again. So everybody wins.
Anyway, the point is, I like, first of all, similarly, it should be, but all our relationships and our interactions in this world is the Abishter's world here. Because it
Yeah,
comes back to what we said at the beginning of the class, which is have emunah in the Abishter, happy talking to the Abishter. It's
right.
all the Abishter's
Right.
world,
What does the
the
Abishter,
Abishter's
what
money.
does the
So,
Abishter want from
so
us here?
I'm going to Beis Din, and that means also it doesn't mean, oh, you could have it. No, no, no. You have to find out what the halach is. Because this is
Right.
what we do. We're Yidden, we keep Torah. I want to do a mitzvah. I have an opportunity to do a mitzvah here to find out what the halach is. That's what you need to do. So it should be, you should go in, and this is the other thing I wanted to connect to is nichnas b'shalom yatsa b'shalom. The whole
Right.
sikha, not to conflict Chassidus with Nigla, but the Rebbe's beautiful sikha on the whole thing of Rabbi Akiva. If all the other guys they went in differently and they all became affected, the only one who wasn't affected was Rabbi Akiva because nichnas b'shalom into the paradise and yatsa b'shalom. So then why
Right.
did he go in if it didn't make a difference to him? No, no, it made a difference. But the nakuda is it's because he went in b'shalom in a complete way, in a total whole way of saying, no matter what I see, no matter what gets, this isn't going to make, this doesn't change how I feel about the Eibushter, that I'm an evid of the Eibushter. The Eibushter is still
Right.
my Eibushter. Tater is still Tater. Mitzvah is still mitzvahs. So meaning, we're still Chassidic brothers. Whatever the ruling of this Bezdin, like nichtas b'shalom, yatz b'shalom. That's how it
Right.
should be. I love that
Right.
that you guys hugged.
Right. Before.
Said a
Right.
l'chaim
Because not
beforehand
because
and
right.
l'chaim and
Right.
after.
It's not just yotze v'shalom. We have to be nichnas. Not just that.
Nichtas
It's funny.
and be
If
if
nichnas
but
v'shalom,
that's
then
what it's
yotze
saying.
v'shalom. Right.
And that's the
Exactly.
Rebbe Sichas
Yeah.
because he was nichtas
Right.
b'shalom. That's why he
That's
was
why
able
he
to
was.
come
Yeah.
out.
That's why yotze
That's
v'shalom.
why
Right.
he was he
Yeah.
was able to. Yeah. Okay.
So,
Beautiful.
so that's the first thing. The first thing is what do you have to lose? Find your big Talmud Chacham, explain it so the other guy should also understand why you're claiming this.
Again.
Vigam, and furthermore, mitam de ein adam reya chevel atzmei. This is like you were saying, the reason you gave. Oh, you were miskaven to the sma. That because a person does not see his own obligation on himself. He's not a person naturally sees himself in a good light. He absolves himself. So you're also worried that mitzad this, even though Taka he's a big Talmud Chacham, but since he's negeh b'davar, like you said, he's not seeing it. He's not seeing the things clearly. Um. Okay. Next is um. Let me see what comes next. Is the next is the Shach
I think
the
it's just the
Shach
next man, no?
five come
Well,
next,
hey,
or
hey
does
or Vav.
Smad
I mean,
Dalit?
they're both at the same. You're saying, I mean, they're both at the same. Smehei and Shachvav are both at the same point of Imei Nira.
Wait, Smeh, Hey, and
Smehei.
Shachvav. Okay,
Yeah,
so we
so
gotta
first
do
we need the
Smeh.
Dalit.
We
So
gotta
either
do
way, we
Smad
still need the
Dalit
Dalit.
first. Fine, and then we'll do Smah Hey, and then Shachvav.
Shach-
Wait, where's? Sorry, and then
And that's it.
what?
Yeah,
Wait,
so
which comes
Dalit.
first?
First Dalit.
Dalit in the Smah.
Sma Dalit. Then Smahei and then Shachvav.
But how about Shach
We didn't do. Wait, where's Shachei? We didn't do it already? Oh, whoops.
Oh,
You're
well, you
right.
know what?
Yeah.
Wait, and he's dafka
Maybe we skipped.
talking
Did we
about
skip Shachei?
about a
Because yeah,
sma. Which sma
Shachei
is he
was
talking
before
about? Oh
Sma.
no, let's do shache because
Yeah,
shache is
we
talking
skipped it. We
about
skipped it.
sma.
Really,
It's talking about the sma that we already
the
said,
previous. Yeah, yeah. We should have done it before
right?
because
Because
it
it's talking
was.
about the
Yeah,
Muki Yosef. I think that he
yeah,
brings.
yeah, yeah. We skipped it. Okay, my bad. I
So the
missed it.
Shema tell you that maybe he's making a mistake. Because of Darkei Moshe. So he writes in Darkei Moshe, right? This is
Right.
and also the
It was,
Ubisma
man.
Sivkot and Base B'Shem Muki Yosef Perek HaMeicher Abayis Daf Kufzat Gimel Aleph. The Sma says there in the name of the Muki Yosef. The loydait hinon b'dvarav shel adam shayu kenegdai. Right. That's that. We're not medayik. We don't. We're not particular. Is a better word for that, but like we're not. We don't hold it against them. Basically, the
Not
words of a
stringent.
person
We're
should be
not.
against him. Imlai sha'amran mamish. Right. We don't use them to obligate him unless he was saying them mamish in a way that he was being very specific that he's talking right, just like we had by the Eidim that he's saying, "You are my witnesses that I owe you $100." Ula Elam Amrinon the Derech Shtus Udiber, and we say that he's just talking Derech Shtus. He's just talking light a way of light talk of talk of folly. The late Tzedek Adkan, meaning he's just talking what's it called? He's talking without unnecessarily. He's talking about just that Divrei Shtus. V'chipastiv v'loy matzasiv. Your gaiti v'loy matzasi, says what the Shach. I looked for this in the Nimuki Yosef, and I did not find it there. Meaning,
Right.
yeah.
Sorry, these expressions of like, I'm not saying it's not a thing, but I looked and I didn't see it.
I looked and I didn't see such a thing. So I don't know. So
Like
I don't know. So basically, I don't know where he's getting it from.
right.
I mean, I don't know where in the Nimuki Yosef. Either he had a different gear, so whatever it is, but I didn't find it there. Okay,
There's
so
a story
now.
For example, there's a story that's attributed. There's a famous story about Rav Zusha ben Anapeli and the Vilna Gaon, about the guy whose father keep coming back to him, like in his dreams, telling him to convert to, and whatever. So supposedly Rav Zevin is the one who writes the story, and someone told me that there's a letter the Rebbe wrote to Rav Zevin, and Rav Zevin the letter the Rebbe wrote on this about this story, because the story goes the Vilna Gaon at the end says Taka there's such a Yerushalmi, but how did Rav Zusha know the Yerushalmi? Rav Zusha is known to be an ignoramus, supposedly.
Right.
And so Rav Zusha heard about this. He said, I didn't know the Yerushalmi. I got it from where the Yerushalmi got it from. Maybe. Like, so, but supposedly the Rebbe's comment was, what Yerushalmi? So it doesn't mean the story's not true. It doesn't
but whatever Yerushalmi they're talking about, it's not that one, right?
There's something missing here because what Yerushalmi?
You're missing,
Yerushalmi, like,
right? Right. This Yerushalmi that you're talking about, which one is it? We don't know. So
is there a detail wrong? Did we misquote this? Is something up? But like
whatever it is,
so
but
also
something
this,
yet. But
it's like a respectful way of arguing, but also even more so, I would say it's not. It even still leaves room for could be there's a shit to here, but I'm just not seeing it. I just don't see it.
And I can tell you if they ever didn't see it in Yerushalmi, it's not in Yerushalmi.
Okay, so that I'm saying more to our case. If you say
Right.
I'm just not seeing it, which is why I can't comfortably pass that way because I'm just not seeing.
Yeah, right. I'm noting that the Sma says this, but I don't know where he's getting it from.
I acknowledge it exists.
Yeah.
I don't see how this works. Right.
I acknowledge what you're feeling, but I just don't understand why.
And I'm reserving the right to still ignore it.
So Sma Daled Levared, if he does not want to clarify, right? This is on the Ramah. If he doesn't want to clarify, Kain Kosav Hatur b'Shem Rosh. This is what the Tur wrote in the name of the Rosh. Right, meaning what he wrote that the Ramah. This is where the Ramah is getting it from. That he does not have to clarify his. That if he doesn't clarify his words, it doesn't mean he automatically loses the case.
Beloshin Pluktal
Divrei Rambam. Shehein b'divrei hamechaber shekosel lufneiza. That this he's arguing on the he's not clarifying, but rather he's arguing at the Rambam, which is what meaning that Ramah is arguing on the mechaber, which the
Ramah is bringing the Rush, the Tur in the B'Shem Rush, to argue on the mechaber who's going according to the Rambam,
who's passing by the Rambam. Yeah. Why? Because even though the
classic Sephardi Ashkenaz tumble.
Yeah, no. So even though the right, but there's in other words, what he's saying is, even though the mechaber doesn't specifically say that if not he loses,
that's the implication.
But he says tzarich levarer dvarav. He right. must clarify his words,
which implies like if he doesn't, it's in contempt of court and he would lose. Like.
Right. So the Sma is clarifying. He's not. The Ramah is not clarifying the words of the author of the mechaber. Rather, he's arguing on them, and he brings the makir from where who's he holding by and who he is holding by. He's holding by the Rambam that if you don't clarify your words, that or at least as much most, there's also very strongly that why does he owe you money? I can't tell you. Okay, so then buddy, you lost the case. Right. And whereas the Ramah is saying, Lavdafke, no,
To me,
right?
it's funny. It's kind of like shtika kaida. Like if this guy's claiming you owe him money and you're not gonna defend yourself, then you're agreeing to what he's saying, and we're just
Right.
gonna have to pass him that okay, then you he owes you money. You can't then say, well, wait, but I don't. Then you should have said something. We gave you the opportunity. Clarify your
Why?
point.
Right? Why don't you? Okay, fine. Even if you say I don't remember ever taking out that loan from him, fine, but
Right.
something.
But otherwise, you're
Just
accepting.
listen.
You're going
The
along
bottom
with
line is I don't owe him money. Why not? The bottom line is I don't owe him money. Okay. Well,
right.
listen. He's saying he owes you money, and he clarified. Right? We're not talking about because, like we said before, right? That if the other guy didn't clarify, then he also doesn't have to clarify. But if the other guy clarified, well, why? Because here on such and such a date, I loaned him money, and you're not even willing to say no on such and such a date. I didn't even see him that day. I never borrowed from him. I was in Yehupitzville that day.
Right.
Then you lose the case. And so according to this, Tzarich Iyun, Lama like Kosav Meirenu Ramesha. Why did Ramah, right? It needs clarification, needs thought, it needs contemplation. Why did the Ramah not write Zeb Loshnish Emrim? Usually, when he's bringing an argument, right? When he's bringing an argument, he says, and there's an opinion. Some say this is not. So why didn't he say that? Why does he just he says ve'im and if right? And if he doesn't want to, which sounds like he's continuing the words of the Mechaber as an explanation. Why does he not present it as there's another opinion, right? Or often he'll even say there's another opinion, again, and this is the how we do. So from the fact that he doesn't do that, so why does he not say this? She, why doesn't he say she im eini ramai she mafsid? Right, when he says that if he doesn't want to clarify, if the Dayan sees that if the Dayan doesn't suspect him of cheatery, then he doesn't lose the case automatically because he really doesn't have a chiyuv to explain his case, right? Which is not like the Shulchan Aruch. But so why doesn't he? So why does he not present it clearly as a different opinion? But tzarich leimar. So we must say this svira leil the Menei Ramesha that we have to say that the Ramah holds the Gamar Rambam that even according to the Rambam who says you have to clarify your words, Yocheli is the made of maybe really the Rambam even agrees in this, meaning maybe he's really not arguing. Shegam Hatur eini kavanos lepolik b'zeh, and not just this, he holds that even the Tur doesn't argue on this. Ella, rather, but rather the Tur holds that no, Taka he's not arguing on the Rambam, but rather the Rosh is just explaining the words of the Rambam. So the famim ain't tzarich levarer that you clarify, but sometimes you don't have to clarify, right? Like for example, like the Ramabrat that it's clear to you he's not trying to mislead or cheat. Right, so then it's easy to understand how it's easy to understand how it could fit in both ways. So basically, so this is why he's saying he doesn't the Ramah doesn't word it as he's arguing on it, because he holds that the Rambam and the Rosh really also hold that, even though their wording seems to imply that if not he loses the case, but really they also don't hold that he Mamish would always lose the case in that case unless they sense there's something going on. V'ayin mash Siman Ayin, see what I wrote in Siman Ayin in chapter 70, right, which that's talking about the questioning of witnesses. But praticha b'fnei edim, when the defendant says, "I paid you in front of edim," they tzarich levared dvarav laviyam. He doesn't have to clarify his words to bring them. Elokadeli natzal mashvua. meaning he doesn't have to actually bring them. He could just say that I paid you in front of Aiden, and he wouldn't have to swear. He wouldn't have to make an oath. But had he not clarified his words, in that case, we also would not have made him chayiv. Oh, I guess the only reason we asked him to clarify is to not do make a shvua in that case. But otherwise, he also wouldn't have to clarify. Sma hey, yafsid. But if the dayan smells rotten fish going on here, smells something is not right. He's trying to cheat. He's trying to mislead. I'm in Chuvas Rosh and see in the Chuvas Rosh Klal Ayin Aleph in how do you say Klal, like general rule 71.
General principle.
Yeah,
Even.
Darkei
Well, whatever, same
Moshe,
thing.
which is brought in the Darkei Moshe Aleph, it's if one. Im hanitba, if the defendant bikesh, so we're talking about somebody who he just the plaintiff just said he owes me money, but did not clarify it. So, be'im hanitba money biyadcha, right? If he said, all right, you owe me 100, ein lach biyadi chamishim, and he replies, no, you don't have, it's only 50. Shechayev lishov min atayra, she'ein chayev chamishim. He would still, even though the other guy did not clarify why he says he owes him. Who cares if he clarifies? You're admitting to half, and if you're admitting to half, you have to minatayra. You have to take a shvur. You have to take an oath. She'ein chayev chamishim, noisin chamishim shahida. And then he's required, once he takes an oath against the 50 he doesn't know, he takes an oath on the 50 that he has to give him the 50 that he owes. So this is an interesting case. Why? Because if I'm saying it never happened and you refuse to clarify, it's one thing. In this case, he says you owe me you owe me $100, and I don't say why, and you say I only owe you 50. Who cares why I owe you the money? Who cares it's a loan, it's a this or that? You're admitting to owing it. So if you're admitting to owing it, now from the Torah, it goes to Medav Miktsas. And it's Shum and Torah. You admitted the partial part of it. So now you have to swear, take an oath on the part that you say you don't owe, and you pay the part that I owe, just like any other case. And in that case, it doesn't make a difference. I clarified or didn't clarify. Oh wait, no, I'm in the wrong thing. I went into the Shulchan Aruch. Let's go back.
That's basic.
Going back, already saw that. Even though that's all going to be true, but so we said if the guy who claims bikesh shatavei yavar dvarav. So now, if the defendant requests, right, he demands that the plaintiff explain his words. He explains his claim. And the plaintiff doesn't want. The loy yashbianu lanitba hesis. Ela b'tayim mevureres. Ayin sham.
So the rabbis don't make him swear.
Right.
Rather, we just make him
Even
clarify.
right. So now so at this point we're not talking about made in mixus yet. That comes the next
Right. Basically,
next
you can't
see
require shvua just because
we're
you want
talking about
clarification.
he says I generally speaking if I say let's just say I owe neither of us explain our words. I say I owe you money. You say I don't owe you money. Okay, so we're not required to explain our words. Meaning if you didn't explain your words, I don't have to explain my words.
Right.
Okay, usually when it's an even claim against the claim, and I see it didn't happen. So from the Torah, you're not required to make an oath, but you have to take a shvuas hesis, a rabbinical oath. However, if you make a claim against me, you say I owe you money, and I say don't owe you money, and I say I'm not taking an oath unless you explain your words. I don't have to take an oath until you're ready to explain why I owe you money. I do not have to take even a rabbinical oath that I don't owe you the money. Shach Vav Shach Vav Im Nidal Adayon Kosav Harosh B'tshuva. The Rosh writes in an answer Klal Ayin Aleph, the same one that this Ma just brought, right? Siman Hay. So in chapter 71, section Hay, whatever you want to call it, you want to call it section 71, subsection 5.
Mm-hmm.
If the defendant is asking that the plaintiff explains his words, and the plaintiff doesn't want, he refuses. The loy yashbienu lanitba. He does not. We do not make him take an oath against the claim of the plaintiff. Right? We don't make him take a shvuas hesis. We don't make him take a rabbinical oath. He shvuas hesis takanas chachamim, because the shvuas hesis, the hesis oath is a how do you say takana? It's like a ruling,
An
not a
enactment,
ruling,
a
an
rabbinic
enactment.
enactment.
Oh, it's an enactment of the sages. V'lo yashbiyanu, and he should not swear, meaning they did not they did not require this oath. Elo b'tainim mevoreres. Besides for in a clear claim. If it's not a clear in a case that's not a clear claim, the sages did not enact, they only enacted this oath in the case of clear claim. And here you didn't clarify, and he's asking you to clarify. It's not a clear claim. Adkan. Mamiviye Beis Yosef V'darki Mesha V'sma Sivkot Nei. And this is the Beis Yosef brings it right in his in which is the meaning the author here is brings it in his commentary on the tour, and the Darki Mesha brings it, and the Sma brings it, like we just said. Venira the mighty shahabestim misupakim. It would seems to the to the Shach that what's the Rosh talking about? He's talking about in a way that the Beis Din is doubtful. They have doubts. And they can't tell if he's being what do you call it, dishonest or not, if there's dishonesty in the matter. That if they feel that he's being he's lying, that he's what do we say? What you said? How does the English word go again? I'm wondering if Laman Yilmadu has classes on English, because that's something I could really use. But he's being misleading. He's being dishonest, right? If they sense a dishonesty going on here, afilu b'shvud de'iraisa, the lav takanas chachamim, then even in the case of a biblical oath, which is not a takanas chachamim, loy mashbinan lei. I'll tell you a sheker. They don't make him swear. Im nidalahem, if it seems to them, to the judges, that there is no dishonesty, afilu hesis mashbinalei, then even a hesis they would make him swear. Elavadik the amran, but rather it must be like I just said, that it must, meaning the only possibility it could be here is that the Beis Din is not sure if he's lying or not. Why? Because if they sense he's lying, right? Then even let's say I come to you and say you owe me 100, and you come back to me, I owe you 50, right? Oh, automatic oath from the Torah. Made the miktos automatic. No. If the Beis Din suspects that you're being dishonest, that you know I only owe you the 50, right? But you know also if you're going to time the 100, I'm going to admit the 50, and now I'm going to. And if they sense that this is going on, that this kind of dishonesty is going on, they won't even make you take the oath with Torah.
You won't even get the opportunity to
Yeah,
vindicate yourself
they're not
with an
gonna,
oath.
even though you're like, right, you would say, wait a second, you said I owe you 100, I say I owe you 50 only. Shruv from the Torah. No, if they sense dishonesty in the matter, then even the Torah one is they're not going to do it. On the other hand, by the Rabbanon one, they would even as long as you don't sense dishonesty, even if you didn't clarify the words, they would make you swear asses. If they didn't sense dishonesty, so therefore it says the Shach, what it must be talking about. It must be talking about a situation where the Beis Din is not sure. They sense there might be dishonesty, but but they're not sure. Maybe not. Maybe you're really telling the truth. And so in such a case, that's what it's talking about here. That they would not make you swear a hesis because it's not a tainim of ureris. It's not a clear. In other words, the reason what the Shach is saying is what's the chiddush he's saying here. If they sense you're being dishonest, and that's what we're talking about, it's not mevureres. we what's it called? We know for a fact that even a shmuel minatayra they won't make you. Even a biblical oath they won't make you take. So it must be it's talking about a case. The only case it could be talking about is must be talking about where the Beis Din is not. They don't know if you're being honest or not. They don't sense you're being honest. They don't sense you're being dishonest. Maybe you're being dishonest. They don't know.
The word they use here in this one is whether he's behaving deceptively or not.
Yeah, behaving deceptively. Yeah,
I like it.
He's a deceptional person. Your behavior is deceptional. It's not the same as exceptional.
They're showing signs of deception. Is any looking up at them?
Yeah.
All right.
The body language.
Okay, so later
Good,
tonight or tomorrow?
What's tonight? Tonight is Tuesday.
So I have a conversation with my father from 8:30 to 9:30 Monday nights.
Oh, okay. I mean, it depends. Possibly like
before that.
I think I open up like 10:30.
Okay, so if I'm up late enough,
Well,
we'll
touch base and we'll
otherwise tomorrow morning.
And in any case, we'll continue with